Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of Generation of Wrestling Podcast. As always, is yours truly, the 28-year-old piece of gold, the franchise, aka the showstopper, better known as the GOW's resident tribal chief. And with me, as always, I got my tag team partner, my brother, my family. He is the flyest in the room, Mr. 1, 2, 3. Pin that ass down, K Breezy, aka EC's resident Isaac Hayes in the building, bro. What's going on, man?
Man, no, man. Just sitting here looking at the shenanigans of Raw a little bit here, man. Other than that, man, what's good with you, Payment? Had a nice little couple of days off. We gave the people a little bit of a rest. We gave them a lot the last couple of weeks, so give them a little couple of days to rest up. But what's good with you, man?
Man, just chilling, just chilling. Well, today is Monday as we are currently Monday Night Raws going on. But you and I, we started recently doing the thing where we kind of cover the latest news and rumors over the past weekend. So that's what we're gonna do, man. And one of the things I want to talk to you about, man, I'm gonna come in hot because I feel
Come
like
in
this one,
hot.
man, that really pique your interest. So we got Bobby Lashley, and Bobby Lashley says, you know what, man, he wants another match with Brock Lesnar, but this time he wants that bad baby in the fight pit. Now, Tuco, we seen how
Hmm,
NXT do they fight pit
hmm,
matches. Brock
hmm.
Lesnar said, "Hey, look, with our backgrounds, not Brock Lesnar, excuse me, Bobby Lashley, like, with our backgrounds, I feel like it's only right. Give us a fight pit, give us some gloves, let us go in, let us do work." What do you think of that, man? Of the prospect of a Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar in the fight pit, or do you think that's even something that the main roster would allow? We seen what happened with Thatcher and Riddle, but that's NXT. Do you think Vince or the powers that be would ever allow that on the main roster as much as we might want to see it?
Between those two, yes.
Okay.
If it's a, a a fight pit match like that between Bobby and Brock, yeah, only for the simple fact that they both got similar MMA backgrounds. Now, can one contest is one better than the other? We would find out if that ever happens. But
Right.
excuse me, for the most part though, yeah, mm, could the could Raw pull it off? They could. They honestly could. If the right personnel is behind it. If it's
Right.
Paul Heyman, Paul Heyman of course got to be behind it, and
Mm-hmm.
MVP damn, that was a hell of a
Yeah.
drop kick. Yeah, it really depends on the people behind it. Sure, sure. Hey, let's see what it do. Let's see what it do.
Because I'm just thinking, you get two behemoths like a Bobby Lashley and a Riddle. I mean, not Riddle and a Lesnar in a fight pit.
Fight
Fuck
pit,
a
yeah,
fight pit. A
yeah,
fight pit, like, bro, that's a
yeah.
whole different animal. And it's cool because you kind of get like steel cage, hell in the cell vibes. But then if they need to take it up top, which they probably won't, but just the idea that somebody
Nah,
could possibly get F5 off the top of that thing, like,
ain't none of that happening. Nah, ain't none of that happening. This is a fight between these two. This is gonna be some
yeah,
blows. You gonna see some punches be thrown. You gonna see some holds be
yeah.
put on. Somebody gonna bleed. Real fast and real quick. All right, it may be a knockout if the right blow is landed at the right time. Like I don't see too much. You get some wrestling, sure, but little reversals. I mean, it is the WWE at the end of the day,
Right, right.
so you'll get some of that, and I'm pretty sure you'll get an F5 as like a FU to somebody trying to just screw over and just win. But
Right, right.
yeah, no, I see some blows being thrown. Like I say, the right people behind it, I can see this being a legit fight till it gets to the point where they no longer run a fight. They're just trying to beat each other ass. It ain't looking the way we thought it would. You're not just gonna get. It's gonna become WWE-ish for real.
Man, hey, my boy said, give me them gloves. And when he said, give me the gloves, I'm like, oh, okay. So you trying to punch. This ain't that open
Right.
hand shit.
Mm,
You trying to get physical. All
mm-mm,
right, man.
mm-mm. Ain't none
But
of them wrestling
speaking
punches.
of Man, right. But speaking of getting physical, man, I want to talk to you about one of the best women technical wrestlers out here, man. Serena Deeb, the professor of professional wrestling. Now, Serena
Huh,
Deeb, man,
huh.
she had recently had an interview not too long ago. And Serena Deeb, man, she says her character change in AEW. It's it's a little amplified, but it's based on some true feelings. For those who don't remember, or for those who do remember, Serena Deeb, she was with Doc Gallows and CM Punk back in the day in the Straight Edge Society. She's done a lot with the women's wrestling, of course, on the NXT side. And then now she's in AEW doing her thing. But she pretty much, like a lot of women wrestlers and a lot of veteran wrestlers, I want to put that out there, that's been in the business for a while. They speak on the entitlement of the current generation. And she was like, yes, there's a lot of,
Yeah,
work to be done in women's,
yeah.
she said, yeah, there's a lot of work to be done in the women's division, but you got to understand, I came up in the era where we were lucky if we got on TV for 2 minutes for a bra and panties match. And, you got people out here now who just feel like, they're entitled. And so, when she's saying what she's saying,
She ain't wrong.
she's speaking from a place of experience. Tuco, I want to ask you this too, because, so many people have said the same thing. We talked to JTG, we talked to Gallows, we talked to people that's been in, 10, 12, 15, 20 plus years. And they talk about, man, back at TJP, who talked about what that environment was like when it was the Wild Wild West. And now you kind of got people who coming in. And another thing she said too, and Randy Orton, he even said in an interview with Ariel Helwani, he said, not necessarily that it's a bad thing per se, but speaking of entitlement for Serena Deeb on her stance, he was talking about the younger guys coming up, and he was like, yeah, back in the day, you had to pay dues, you had to shake hands with everybody, you had to acknowledge all the veterans, you had to go do what you had to do, you had to make your rounds. Whereas now, it's a little too laxed almost, where you got the new guys pretty much coming in. They might come from the Indies or come from NXT, and they already feel like, hey, I got a built-in fan base, I ain't got to pay my dues. Now, how do you feel about the two scenarios presented by Randy Orton and Serena Deeb, and of course the entitlement, or the feeling of entitlement of this current generation as we start to get younger and younger?
I feel both points. For Serena, she's not wrong in what she's saying, because we've all acknowledged that. It's only been within the last, what is this, 22? So when is Charlotte and them main
I think
event?
what, 15, 14?
15, 14, 15. So you got about a good, I say last 6 to 8 years. Okay, where women's wrestling has really taken a focus, but it's still lacking a lot of importance. Hey, man. So there's the few that do, and then you got so many that don't. So it's like, and we still got tag team champions. We still have not seen who the hell are the women's tag team champions. See, I bring this, I do this to you all the time. I say, bro, I just ask you who the tag team champions are, because I don't know. Right. But
and to be fair, we did this even when Asuka and them had decided. We said the same thing, like, where the hell? Who?
And I still can't tell you who the champ. Oh, it's Melina, not Melina. It's Selena and Carmella. Yeah, that's who got them. But again, it's like that's kind of the point. Like you really don't put an emphasis on it so much, like you do when you bring in like a Ronda Rousey. But Ronda Rousey's already a made star. She's just doing something different, where and she is someone different. She's gonna make people step their game up, but there are other people you want to see step their game up. So, she's not wrong. Like they've come miles and miles from where they used to be, and we all know where that was. And yeah, you had some that were great, but after Lita and Trish, at once that era of wrestling, because that's when they started getting it, but it wasn't as much like it is now. But then when they left, you got the Diva era, and we all know how that Diva era played out. So yeah, you got that. Now, as far as Randy, he's not wrong either, because he's right. You paid your respects to the veterans. You paid respects to the guys that were willing to go out there and put you over. Right. Okay. And knowing that they're better than you are, but you're the new hot thing, so you got to look good. And you do pay those respects, man. You pay those type of respects in football, baseball. Like there's no different. Yeah, the times might be changing, the
Mhm.
attitudes and the way of thinking of the younger folks now. Say that I made myself really old. But that way of thinking, it has changed. It has evolved, and it is kind of a woe is me kind of attitude. But and not to say you don't have those few that are beyond that, because they are
Right.
kind of that old school way. They're new school with old school flavor. All right, you know what I'm saying? So they're not wrong, man. But to have the new the millennia, yeah, you know what I mean. Like they're not totally, everything they do is not totally bad. Like, okay, Undertaker making fun of the video game playing and
Yeah.
all that. All right, yeah, playing video games is equivalent to playing poker. All right, man. If you playing video games for bragging rights, or for money, you playing poker for money. It's just the difference in what they did. Now their extra curricular activities that went on.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
that's totally different, and you don't talk about, you don't brag about that part. Now
Yeah.
these dudes now may not be doing exactly that. They may
They
they
like to
may have
party.
their they they may have their variants of what they do, if
Yeah.
but it wasn't that way. So no, there are some things that I feel were a positive that can transcend and can continue, and there's some things you can change. You can change some things up. It's all about balance. That's
You know
really
what?
what it is, man. It's about balance.
It's funny you say balance, right? Because we I kind of want to stick to this point for a little bit, but I kind of want to transition. When we talk about balance, you
Hmm.
talk about, paying your dues and paying your debts and all that, and earning your comeuppance, right? And then, you try to merge that with today's society. And Leo actually says something. I want to bring this up really quick. He says,
Yeah, I
in
didn't
my
read the minute.
opinion, I feel it's different because now we have social media where wrestlers build their fans and people want things now fast. So if the company doesn't capitalize on it quick, they'll lose out. And
Yeah,
you know what? I
yeah.
think a prime example of that was okay. Okay,
And,
you know what?
and that's
Leo,
funny, because that plays on me when I'm saying, like, even though you got to pay your dues and respect. You're the younger person coming in, and these veterans that are a better worker than you gotta put you over, regardless to where they are in the status. They gotta put
right,
you over. So there is a respect that you would want to pay towards these dudes, because they don't have to do it. And they can go out there and make you look bad, and
right.
you can look like a joke. So that kind of plays to that point too. Which, Leo, you the man.
Let me ask you this because now, and all
Hmm.
right, let's talk about loyalty.
Okay.
Let's talk about that word. Let's talk about loyalty and sports. I'm gonna make this a general statement because so some people like, and this ain't throwing shade at nobody, but some would like to think that a certain person whose last name is James kind of fucked up the NBA. Now, now with that being said, you have the argument that there's always been super teams, there's always been top stars that linked up together and kind of did their own thing. Long story short, being the power of knowing one's worth. Now, when it comes to professional wrestling, they're independent contractors, quote unquote, per se, sort of say. With WWE, though, they've been getting a lot of slack and a lot of flack for it because they're labeled as independent contractors, yet they can't necessarily just go out and freelance like a lot of people in other promotions. If you work for WWE, you're not about to go to TNA one week, New Japan the next week. Hell, they barely want you to have a Twitch,
Right. Yeah, that's true too.
but the thing is, they can let you go at any time. But there's like this sense of, okay, well, be lucky you're here. And then when you see people like LeBron, and when you see people like KD, or when you see people in all these other sports, man, hell, Odell, who Tom Brady, who back in the day, unless you got traded, you stayed with a team. You stayed with a team until that team decided to get rid of you if they so chose. Now, the sense of loyalty doesn't seem to be as prevalent now because guess what? I can win 4 championships with you today. If I don't like where the season going tomorrow, hey, I'm gonna hop on social media, right? I'm gonna sit up here and I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna make it be known I'm unhappy. So speaking of social media, and I guess I don't want to say the professionalism of it because I think that's wording it wrong. But do you
Because
think?
there's not too much professionalism about social media.
Yeah, and I guess that's all I
Like
want to say because
it's some and it's not, I guess.
But because you know how we talk about, okay, like man, we miss wrestling back in the day, but then back in the day we kind of wish we kind of knew what a character was like out of character. Like back in the day, I used to want to know, like, damn, okay, is Undertaker really like this, or is John Cena really like this, or is Kane really like this? But now, do you think it's too overexposed? Do you think the business is too overexposed?
For someone like the Undertaker, yes, because I don't want to know, like, because of the mystique of the character, the mystique
Mm-hmm.
of a guy. No, you don't want to, like, you want that mystery because that's what makes it even more intriguing for you to want to see. When you know everything,
Right.
man, it's like, you don't even really buy into it. You don't have it wouldn't have the same effect. Like the fact that you got to remember, okay, now he started with this until what, about 2000, and then once about 2000s hit, then you got
Yeah.
internet, and then everything that's starting to take off or whatever, and then you're starting to get the dirt sheets and all that other stuff, and because you're
Mm-hmm.
starting to find out WWE was taping shows, and they were taping SmackDown, so people knew the results of the show because they were taping the show on Tuesday, but it didn't air to
Right.
Friday, but you knew what happened that Tuesday night. So the fact that someone like him for such a long time, once that became a thing, as far as social media and being exposed more to what was going on in in wrestling, uh,
Mm-hmm.
it was amazing that he was able to kind of hide it for as long. Like it got to the point where it only got to the point where you knew who what his name was, and you knew who he was married to. That was
Right.
it.
Right. Right.
You didn't
Yeah.
know anything else. Like you knew, okay, he played a character. You found out that was about it. You never
Right.
really got to find out anything else about him until towards his retirement. Then
Yeah.
that's when everything came out. But of course now it's like, but he was a character. So uh does it hurt today? It does sometimes, but the one thing I guess I like about BTE is those guys seem to stay in character for what we
Yeah.
see on the
Yeah.
show and off the show when they're just having regular conversations walking by people. So it's like even
Right.
people that they're having a beef with, they have conversations, and even if it's an argument, but it's a stupid argument, but they're being themselves or whatever, and they're being
Right.
themselves. So you kind of like that kind of helps it. Now you use the analogy of LeBron. He killed the league. Not to get too far off of wrestling, but I
No.
don't
Yeah.
personally think he totally killed the league. One, because that was something that it's not the first time you've had super teams. Like
Right.
there were super teams years before that. The
Mm-hmm.
Lakers hell were a super team. Like
Hell
you
yeah.
gotta think about it. When Shaq and Kobe, you gotta
Yeah.
think about some of the squads they had and the
Fisher,
people they
Ori.
had, man. Fisher, Ori, Glenn Rice. You
Yeah.
had a Gary
Yeah.
Payton. Well, no, Gary didn't win that year, but you had Nick Van Exel. You had you had Eddie Jones, dude.
Eddie
You had
Jones.
you had squads of dudes,
He said
man,
Eddie
that
Jones.
helped win or were contended. Um,
Yeah.
but it was a lot thin out. Guys didn't team up too much in their prime. That's the only difference. It's not that guys didn't team up. Now, if you want to say, well, the Lakers had a super team, they did. The Lakers and the Celtics, but they were the Lakers and the Celtics. It was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, they paid for their championship, so you kind of understood that with them because it was the Lakers. It became Showtime once Magic got there. Well, it was always L.A.,
Yeah.
but it became something more. And you think about it, yeah, they did sign a couple of guys, but they also drafted some of them dudes. Like I believe they
Yeah.
drafted James Worthy and a few other guys. So they They drafted some of these guys, and they just be happen to became really great. The difference between that and what happened with LeBron, or even if people compare it to what happened with Boston with KG, Ray Allen. KG had been in the league 14 years. Ray Allen had
Yeah.
been in the league for about 14 years. Paul Pierce had been in the league for about 13, 14 years. So
The
these dudes
truth.
had pretty much these dudes had pretty much played most of their career. They got to play the last
Yeah.
5 years of their career. And this is just my opinion on how I look at it and how I feel. But the only difference is that LeBron and them were in the prime of their career. And you think because and for the fact that he already been in the league for about 7 to 10, this is about what year 10 when he did. So yeah, it was and he hadn't won, and he was the supposed best player in the world. And when you got guys that are more friends with guys now, guys aren't
Yeah.
standoffish like it used to
And
be.
I was
They're
about to say, and,
competitive, but they're
and
more
I think that,
homies.
but I think that's another thing too, because if you look at it from every sport, that's another thing that the OGs be saying. Back in the day, Larry Bird wasn't shaking hands, and with XYZ, Larry Bird wasn't doing this XYZ. Like on the court, it was fuck you. And now the thing is,
Yeah,
I forget who said it, but somebody now, I can't remember which player said it, but they were talking about the rise of escalating, NBA, confrontations. They're like, bro, this is like WWE. Man, these it's all for show. Like these boys ain't really about to go ahead and do that. At the end of the day, yeah, they get a little upset, a little push, a little foul, a little shove. But he said, this is back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. Oh, what's up? It's full go. Haymakers, punch. But then I think also you got to remember now there's so much money in sports. Everything is so corporate now, too. I think that's what a lot of people got to understand, too. And then when you look at even with wrestling, you could say its popularity isn't what it once was, but you cannot deny it. There is more money in sports, especially pro wrestling, than there's ever been. And I think a lot of people misunderstand that, too. So, yes, as a fan, I kind of hate a whole bunch of the outer character stuff, but I kind of like some of the outer character stuff. But I can see where people will be turned off. But then
yeah.
you can see money wise, it's like, hey, but I do think it's a contradiction to storyline, right? When you have a guy or a
Oh,
girl that's a super
yeah.
dick on TV, and then like they're the nicest thing on camera, like in the interviews, like, wait, I do think that's a
But
disconnect.
well, but that's WWE's fault because they transition these guys to be more characters and be more entertainers and movie star like. They're just
Yeah.
more athletic actors. That's really
Mm,
what wrestling is. It's just more athletic actors, and they put an emphasis on that once they became once they stopped being a federation. I mean, once they stopped being WWF and they went to WWE, you saw genuine people who were just good at what they do. Like Eddie Guerrero was just awesome. I know we always mention guys, but when you think of
yeah.
somebody that was legit in the ring, was excellent as far as being a character, you loved him or hated him, and you respected the hell out of him for what he could do. And,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't tell me there isn't a match where if someone gave you 5 matches that were 5-star matches, you couldn't say out of those 5, not one of them wasn't a 5-star match. Like it's just like when you got good quality, Kurt Angle, like oh my god, like you had guys that
Different breed.
had a career, right? That had a charisma to be entertaining, but was really great in the ring. Like
Yeah.
that's that. Yeah, they were moving actors, but yeah, man, all of that it's not so much entitlement, it's just different choice. I think some people choose to want to, and basketball, no one wants to be I always feel like people don't want to be the Charles Barkleys and Carl Malones and Reggie Millers and other
Mm-hmm.
players like that. No one wants to be
Mm-hmm.
the Hall of Famer without a ring. Everybody wants
Yeah.
to get a ring. But also at the same time, I just don't think a lot of guys are really that great to really just lead a team by themselves or even with one other person. Like
Yeah.
OKC, I I feel like that was a huge bomb. Like as a team
Yeah,
that drafted,
yeah,
you
yeah,
drafted. You drafted
yeah,
Joe. You drafted a championship. You drafted a championship, man.
yeah.
I shit. You got to
Like,
one
come on,
finals.
man.
I
Come on.
Yeah,
You had Russ, Ibaka, you had KD, you had Harden.
and you
Bro,
had
Harden
Harden.
was coming off the bench as one of the best players in the damn league.
Like, dude, who is this
Yeah.
dude with this beard out here breaking ankles and just cutting dude? Hey, man, it's this dude. So,
Yeah.
but that just shows you the change in the overall uh view of what sports used to be. Wrestling, sport, regardless, it has all changed. The attitudes have changed. The way its approach has changed. Everything about it has changed, and it's changed for a better. Yeah, it's a bit softer. Yeah, guys are being a lot more conscious about things, and not guys and girls too, but people overall.
Right.
It's just people have their opinions, and social media helps get people's opinions out. The problem
Right.
is sometimes people's opinions don't add up. So when there's confusion or disagreement or argument, then you get the chaos that social media is. So yeah, you can think one way, and 10,000 people can think you're the worst person in the world, and that can ruin your day. Like, damn, like,
Yeah.
dude, I'm not even, and it could be truly not malicious. There's a difference between malicious and not. And then the problem is you don't even really have to have, like, it's so easy just to flip people like that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that dynamic, it hurts wrestling, but it helps because some people have learned to use it in a way that benefits them, and they can use it in a positive light, and you got your assholes.
All right,
What's
man.
that
We
gonna
about to
say?
move on. But Leo says most guys are also a brand, not just a person. That is very true. That is very true.
Very much true.
Now,
Very much true.
people are not representing themselves as an individual, but as a brand, which, hey, I get it. But all right, man, moving forward. Let's talk about he's in the ring right now, the phenomenal AJ Styles, man. You and I, we talked about this several times. Uh about
Man,
possible, main roster talent guys going down to NXT, giving them guys the rub. And AJ Styles, man, he says that it was actually his idea to go down to NXT and, get that boy, Grayson Waller the blessing. Now, I know you said you would like to see more guys and girls who aren't actively being used in main roster storylines. Now, I say that because AJ Styles went down to NXT. Do
right.
you think? Do you think that maybe WWE, instead of just hot shotting guys and girls to the main roster, do you think there needs to be a trial period to see if they're ready? Like, hey, like if you have a plan, like let's say Austin Theory per se, right? Okay, say a guy like Austin Theory. If I believe this guy has the look. I believe this guy. From what I see in NXT, I think he can cut the shit on the main roster. But as opposed to just bringing him up full fledged, bring him up for a couple weeks, a month, see how the fans react, see how he gets over. And if he doesn't get over, then fine. Hey, it was an experiment that didn't work. We can revisit it, as opposed to bringing him up, use him for a month, and then he sits in catering for 6 years.
Hmm. Um, NXT is the trial period. The performance
Mm,
center is where you show them, what you got. All right. And either gonna say yay or nay.
right.
NXT is your trial period to see how well you work out in front of a live crowd on live TV. The
Yeah.
main roster is either you're good enough or you're not. That's just that.
That's
So
true.
for
That's true.
Austin Theory, now the problem is what we get on NXT is not what we get on the main roster. That is the
Exactly.
issue. That is the
Yeah.
biggest issue. You do not get necessarily exactly what made you intrigued inside of a person on NXT
Mm-hmm.
because of how they're presenting their character on NXT, and then when they go to the main roster, it's
Yeah.
like a whole totally different character. Like some people still keep certain names and gimmicks, but then it gets really goofy and it it goes in a route that it shouldn't go, and that's what makes people cringe when they watch him. Like, what was one of the biggest downfalls for Keith Lee? Uh,
Yeah.
well, the fact that while in NXT, the guy got to show what made him good in the ring.
Right.
I like the way Keith Lee talked. I mean, yeah, sometimes it would be a
Yeah.
little drawn out, but I like the way he talked. I felt he could have still talked that way, but just with a little bit of a quicker pace. But
Hmm.
I didn't have a problem with his confidence, cockiness, or whatever. Bask in
Right.
my glory. Like it fit. He made it work, and then his attitude with it, and then the opportunity that he got to go with it. Yo, you got to see it go great. Him and Dijakovic, man, they were
Yeah.
putting on really
Dude.
great matches. Like, dude, they were going out there doing things you don't see a dude that's six something, three something pounds, and then another dude that's 6'8", another 300 something pounds on the top rope
Yeah.
doing somersaults and flips and on the outside, inside the ring, suicide flips on the. Come on, man, you don't see not doing this on a regular in the match, not once or twice, and then you don't
Right.
see
Right.
it. No,
Right.
they're doing this damn thing, man. They're flying on the outside of the ring, and they're giving you powerhouse stuff. So it was different. Again, what we got on NXT, and then when it was time for them to come up, was totally different. And I feel that's what makes that was such a lazy kick. I hated that kick. Priest gave a
You seen that
lazy.
too?
Yeah, that was a really lazy kick. I get, but that was really lazy. Um, and because we don't get these guys, if we got these guys on a more regular, if we got them the way that made us intrigued to want to watch
Yeah.
them. All right, now if Finn Balor was more of the Finn Balor, could he turn him heel? Like, damn, man, you
Yeah.
got this dude coming out being the happy-go-lucky baby face for so long. Turn him heel. Like, he basically was he basically was healed in NXT when he went back. I know some people are on
Yeah.
him, some people aren't, but his NXT run, they like, well, he had to go back to NXT, and then he had to go back. He asked to go back, but
Actually,
going
I
back to
think, bro.
NXT allowed him to, and it gave him back that confidence that he can go and be him. Triple H didn't
Yeah.
handcuff him; he allowed him to be him, and it got over. Except for that cat chase the mouse shit. I still won't give him credit for that cat in the mouse shit. But
Yeah, the cat and the kitty litter. The
yeah, yeah,
coolest.
yeah. I'm still not gonna give him fight for that. Ooh,
Yeah.
wow, Styles won.
Clean
Okay.
too, clean too, and my boy back being the baby face. I mean, I like the whole heel thing, but I like baby face Styles, man. That's my guy.
Oh yeah, it might be time for him one more run before it's time for him to go. Depending on
Leo
who
says
depending on who the champion is.
Leo says he wanted to go to NXT UK instead of Raw. That is very true. He got denied going to
Yeah,
NXT UK,
yeah,
which
he
to me
did.
is like. And that's the thing when you look at, and I feel like NXT UK, I feel like that's something that they should expose more over here. I mean, I know you got the network or Peacock, whatever, but I feel like they should really highlight that too. Because if you look at NXT UK killing it, like, come on, Kaylee Ray was the longest. I think she had 624-day reign. Hell, Walter was in and out stateside, but you knew who the hell Walter in the appearing was. You had GYV, you had Tony Storm killing it in NXT UK when she came over here. So it's like, bro, like NXT UK, they're not getting handcuffed. It's just, uh,
No, they're getting
uh.
handcuffed. We just don't see it. No, they're getting handcuffed. They lost a whole bunch of people. They no. I mean, but they're also not really a financial threat. So
Yeah,
it kind of sucks, but it still works for them. But man, look, that's just what it is, man. It's the change of the guard, man. It's a new era, new way of thinking, new way of looking. It's a new way of approach. Um, I don't think I think some things could not have to be changed. I think some things could not. Or if they say if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
no, Chrissy, yeah,
That's definitely applies to some things that kind of are old school. Even before our time of old school, that old school was
right,
doing great. That you could still do today. You can evolve it. Just you know, certain respects or whatever. But yeah, man, all of this, it's different. It comes off kind of crybabyish because
Mm,
we're used to our more we're these are all we are a part of a harder world,
yeah.
and all of the kids and everything growing up, they're not a part of that world anymore. They're on the outskirts of that world where
Yeah.
we were
They grew up
born.
in the world of participation trophies for 10th place.
As my boy Joey V would say, Bane would say, man, we were born in it. We were born in the darkness. All right. We breed it. This is how a lot of us uh come up. So yes, we have a more
Yeah.
hardened shell. We have a more different kind of way of thinking. Not saying that we know every answer, but sometimes 2 plus 2 equals 4, and not
Yeah.
5 minus 3. Sometimes the,
All
the,
this,
the,
all
the, the
this new
simplest
shit.
answer is the simpler answer, right? I
Right.
get we evolve, and I get you can do some things different, but sometimes 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, it's not that difficult. It's really not. No, sir, you're not. No, you
They
can't.
try
You
to do
can't
one
really
plus one plus four minus three
three.
divided by 3.5. Like, nah, bro, that's doing too much.
Subtracting -6. Like what? Why am I adding this up? Where am I going with this? But not. But
Tuco, do you remember PEMDAS?
man, oh my God, yeah. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I didn't think about what you said. Like, wait a minute. Oh yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
The fact that you actually, the fact that you actually went through what it meant, dude. Because I forgot what it meant. I just remember
I'm
the
like,
shit sounded
I'm like,
good.
I know that. Why do I know
PEMDAS.
that? Wait a
Hey,
minute. Why
look,
do I
you
know
popped
that?
me
Oh,
up.
please excuse my. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. All right, yeah. But again,
Yeah,
we came up in a different time and era and how things kind of worked or how they were looked at and perceived. And now there's a more free thinking, but there's a bit of arrogance with some of that thinking because you think you're right without knowing that you're actually wrong or not
yeah.
knowing the whole truth. And and when you get challenged on it, you know what I'm saying, you fight back, you bite back, and you don't want to be embarrassed. And I think that now that's a thing. Now the participation trophy part of it, I do feel like that does create more whining.
Yeah.
Um, Not to say that you can't have an argument about something, but I mean, you think you should be something just because someone else is. That's not how that works. Or you feel like just because you think you good, but you're really not good, but you can't accept that you're not as good. So therefore,
Yeah.
that's just really what it is, man. Some people just aren't as good as you think you are, and you're not supposed to get what others get. You get for where
That's
you at, and you need to
that's
accept that.
That's just like schools instead of giving out A's, B's, C's, D's, and F's, they want to do satisfactories and unsaid. Nah, man, you a F for failure, a D for dumbass, a C for could be better, but you're not. You know, it's
God
okay.
damn.
It's okay. Hey, some people, so, some people need to understand that, man. Look, when I was going to school, guess what? If I didn't have a certain GPA, I didn't make the honor roll. And if I didn't make honorable mention, guess what? I was a C, could be better, D, a dumbass, or in math class, I was an F, a failure. It's okay. I grew up to have two wonderful kids and I got a job. Everybody don't have to flip burgers. And that's a lie because now they paying $17 an hour. So you better watch
Man,
it.
I was running to go flip burgers, man. I'm like, where
Hey,
the hey,
hey,
dude?
too cold, man. Hey, paper or plastic, motherfucker. Which one you want?
Man, shit, both. Rack it up, bro. Rack it
Hey,
up, my
man,
G. Rack it
we
up.
about to we about to wrap it up, man. I got one last final thing for you, man. I want to talk to you
What's up, man?
about the rumor, man.
What's up?
AEW. Tony
Hmm.
Khan says he got somebody, man, that is going to potentially break the forbidden door. We had people walk through the forbidden door, but Tony Khan, he put up a very lengthy tweet. and he said a couple indirects, man. He was like, "Look, it doesn't matter if the Forbidden Door is literally, truly open to anybody, any promotion, even if we don't have the best relationship with said promotion." And I feel like he put a little emphasis on that part. Tuco, man. I
Hmm.
know people were kind of upset with the way the whole Impact and AEW relationship unfolded. Uh some people, kind of are curious to, the whole Impact WWE thing with Mickey James. But let's be honest with AEW. I understand that we feel like they're signing too many people. They're not using
Mhm.
enough people. But do we still see the Forbidden Door as a viable tool for AEW? Or do you think, man, we should close that for a second and focus on what we already have?
I feel like we should focus on that, but the problem is when you got Ring of Honor let go of their entire roster, and like who's going to let an entire roster? Who's not going to go try to sign some people when one company let go of their whole roster? All right, like who's not going to go after a few people? Who's not going to go after many of the 200 wrestlers that WWE let go over the past 2 years? It's like it would be foolish of AEW for them to not go after some of these people. And now if they were getting 1 million based off their if they were getting what they were getting now, not because Daniel Bryan showed up or Adam Cole or anything else. And mind you,
Right.
they were getting some of these numbers before these guys showed up. So let's keep that in mind. I'm not saying they never got them. They definitely were getting these numbers when it was just
Yeah.
the original people that were there for the most part. But you can't not be interested or go after a few people. Like you can't. Even if you say, well, maybe they shouldn't. TNA probably shouldn't either. But guess what? They doing the
Yeah.
same thing too. Like TNA is doing
Yeah.
the exact same thing. NWA is doing the exact same thing. CWC, CWC, the CCW, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it?
I know what you
The
mean.
CCW. Yeah, they're doing the same.
CZW. Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing the same thing. Like New Japan could, people can travel a little bit freely, a little bit easier. They be doing the same thing too. Like it,
Yeah.
you can't disregard a talent that you could potentially sign that could help your company.
Oh
The
yeah.
problem would be, of course, that yeah, all right, do you have enough time and can you balance all these acts? Because some of them you sign to to really do some things with, and others, uh, this is just still a better opportunity than what they previously had, and they're going to use the best of it
Yeah.
based on the structure of the shows they have. You got two shows that you do live, and you got two other shows that you do on YouTube. Now those numbers you get decent, what, four to I say about 400 to maybe 700,000 people. So you got people watching it, like you got hundreds of thousands of people watching it. So I honestly, yeah, yeah, you gotta, yeah, man. So I just gotta roll.
Yeah. No, I
Sorry
you
to
know,
end it
I
like
was
that,
I
but
was no, no, no. But no, you absolutely correct. I mean, I was wondering that because I know we said that, it was funny about a year and a half ago. We was like, all right, man, AEW, they just had that one or two people. Now they got those 20 or 30 people. It's like, all right, man, well, 15 of them, where they
you
at?
you we want to see them, but and they're trying their best to still keep some guys relevant. It's just like I say with the men of the year, I want to see them wrestle more. I've seen enough of them talking and being cheerleaders. I want to see them wrestle more. Like
Right,
that's
right.
what I want to see from some of them guys. But yeah, man, nobody can help it right now. Right now, there's too many people out there that you got to take the opportunity to go see if you can sign. Like you
Yeah.
got to.
Well, because the rumor is, and Matt Hardy, he's been fanning the flames a little bit, but there seems to be a huge thinking that maybe Jeff Hardy will be AEW bound. Now, I got to ask you this: because we were very excited to see Matt, right, when there was a prospect of him debuting the broken Matt gimmick. But we seen how quickly they had to scrap it. Now, granted, you could sit there and say that was also because you had a COVID crowd and it really didn't hit the same. Uh, are you happy at the thought of maybe Jeff Hardy getting one last run or the Hardy Boys getting one last run? Or do you think, man, honestly, it's over and at this point, man, they just be getting used to put over other talent?
Do I want to see the Hardy Boys? No.
Mm,
I can honestly say I
mm.
don't want to see the Hardy Boys. I really have a hard time watching Matt now.
Yeah.
So, and though they are the Hardy Boys, and yeah, they're Team Extreme. They'll always be one of the top tag teams on my list. Top five for sure. Even if some people think that's far fetched, but I at least top 10 for sure.
Yeah.
But I like how much of okay, if Jeff Hardy gets the Christian treatment, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Because I can't remember when I seen Christian wrestle last. But he ain't been but he has not been taking the focus from nobody. He's been helping them guys and help, he's building them up. He's been a mentor. If Jeff Hardy is gonna come in that type of capacity, then sure, cool. I'm going to say the same for him too, because Jeff's at that point definitely now where, uh, yeah, man, you every within the first 5 minutes of his matches now, man, he starts to get the moving and walking around, and you get to like, dude, I love seeing you. You're always going to be one of my favorites, but I don't think you need to keep doing this, bro.
Yeah.
When you don't know nothing else but this, I get it. I get it, but it's like, man, I hate seeing you move like that, man, because I know you're hurting. I know you're
Yeah.
hurting.
Yeah. I think the biggest reality comeback to me was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I should have left that in the past. Was Kurt Angle's most recent run in WWE. That hurt me. That hurt me. Considering just a couple years before that, he was in TNA killing it. And then it's like, oh damn,
He was, but when he came back for the Hall of Fame, and you saw
yeah,
how, his neck and kind of just how he was, kind of just, really couldn't really, move. It's like, and then he had that WrestleMania match, or he had to, whatever with him and Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and yeah, that fought before that, but the just matches. The Shield match really showed it, but
yeah, yeah,
like it was just too. It was just where you could see not only could he not really you saw the quickness wasn't there, which of course which always goes. He was
right,
older,
right,
but it was yeah, man, it was far less than what we thought, and because of the caliber of who he was. That's what hurt. See, with Jeff
yeah,
Hardy, it's just some things you just don't want to see Jeff do. If
right,
Jeff is more mat based and not so much high flying, then I think he'd be okay. But with Kurt Angle, it's the caliber of wrestler that he was. When you're
yeah,
that caliber
yeah,
of
yeah,
of as
intense,
being that good in the ring,
yeah,
just your in ring and what you do and what makes people want to watch what you do to folks that's really hard to watch. Like you want to always be a fan and you want to be good for the spots, but you don't want to watch that and try to be you know when it's not even half when it's barely half of what it used to be. It's like man, I
yeah,
can't watch this. I don't This is not what I want to see from him. I don't want to remember him like this. I want to remember him being the Olympic gold medalist who won a gold medal with a broken freaking
broken
neck
freaking neck.
and was a badass, and that's who I want to remember him as. So
Yeah,
for Jeff, it really depends on it really depends on the role. But am I excited? Nah, not excited. If it happens, it happens. But I don't think it's worth the build that Tony Khan is building.
All right. Well, I mean,
I
fair.
that, that- I say that.
Hey, Tuco went right at it, man. He said, TK, man, you over delivering, man. You over
No,
delivering.
well, no, he hasn't. As long as that's not the person he's talking about. If there's somebody
What if
else
it's
that's
Keith
like,
Lee?
yo, if it's Keith Lee, yo, then
I
yo,
will flip my
yo,
shit. I will
yo,
flip my shit
yo,
if it's
basking in
Keith
his
Lee.
glory, all elite. He all elite. Yo, that's different. That's different. If it was carrying Cross, that's
Yeah,
different. I not maybe not his excitement, but it's like, yo, all right, man, no gimp suit. All right, let's see it. We got Scarlet. I bet. Let's roll with it.
yeah.
Cool.
Smoke show.
But yeah, if it's another almost out the door, no, no.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
people say, well, what's the difference between him and CM Punk? CM Punk's been gone for 7 years. That's the difference. We haven't seen him in 7 years. So it's like,
That's true.
yo,
That's true.
and which means he's healthy. He hasn't wrestled. That means he's actually got a little bit of an extended time. He's just a bit rusty, and he's not the same guy. He's a bit slow, but he's still good. Brian Danielson is clearly still in the best of his prime. You got
God
guys that are
damn, I'm
just,
glad he back in the ring.
man, that just he is just working something. Something is just working with him, and it's just working. There's an exception to it, but it's the level and the caliber of what those guys are at. And Daniel Bryan's at a high level caliber, so that's why it's okay. CM Punk, we ain't seen him. That's why he's still at that want to see him until the nostalgia wears off, and then we get to heel Punk, and then that's when things are going to change. But yeah, there's levels to it, man. Jeff Hardy's not high level. He's nostalgia level, and that you can only do so much with nostalgia level.
That's true.
Look
That's true.
look at what Vince did with Goldberg.
Man, bro, 2015. Yay, 2022. Get the fuck out of here. And now, I mean, Goldberg is money, but hey, man, I guess when you taking that Saudi money, man, you got to give the people what they want, or else you're going to get stuck again.
I don't know what they're gonna do for the next show. I want to see who they gonna get out the retirement home for the next show. Because I really
Hey.
don't know, man. You can't go
Hey.
get Mark Henry. You can't go get Big Show. You can't get none of them. Booker
Hey,
T, I don't
people
think
like,
he going.
the people like, I want the Iron Sheik. Then they're gonna dress up Jinder Mahal. they gonna turn Otis into Vader. They'll slap a
You
mask on.
stupid. You stupid. You
Nikki
stupid.
Cross gonna be Luna Vachon. Look,
You
I'm telling you, man.
stupid. You stupid. You
They're
stupid.
like, we want China. All right, man. Well, just throw Rhea Ripley. Put her in the night one of the world outfit. There you go.
All right,
They
man.
gonna start
You know what?
doppelganging people and shit.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, when the franchise gets like this, that means he's ready to get off the show. Because now he's talking nonsense. He's talking. He is talking these foolishness. I know he's ready to get off now. I know it now. I can sense it. I can sense it in the air, ladies and gentlemen. It's about that time.
Hey, boy, back in
Oh
the day,
shit, my
food
man
stamps used to
said.
be paper.
Man, my boy said, yeah, you want to do China? Yeah, have Rhea Ripley come out. Dude, no. No. One, Ripley is not the same as China. Not up top or in the arms or anything. Nah, that's going to look bad. That's going to look really bad, bro.
Oh man,
Oh,
hey,
shit.
come on, man. Hey, you acting like Vince McMahon ain't threw people in them damn matador costumes. What's them, the Los Matadors? Or what was them people, man, that
Man,
Vince
it
kept
was it was
swapping
it
out?
was Primo and it was Primo and the cousin. It was
Then you had two.
Carlito. That's who it was. That was who the El Matadors. It was them two
Then you had
fools.
two Sin Caras. You'd have had about 5 different canes. Like,
I
come on,
mean,
man. They
yeah, but they were in mass. We didn't know who they were until they got released, and then they told us who they were and what they did. That's
The
the
motherfucker
difference.
started snitching like Jose Canseco.
Right, right. It was afterwards. Yeah, once they got released, then you found out. Oh, this is what I was doing. No, this is who I was. I got the mask right here. This is me. Look at the tattoo. See this tattoo? Yeah, you remember that tattoo? Yeah, the other guy didn't have this tattoo.
Hey, it sure do be like that though. They like,
like,
see.
wait a minute, man. Like, what happened to that big tattoo you had on your back? Huh? What you talking about? Yeah, see, when you was fighting this dude on this show, you had this tattoo. You come back, man. Your back clear as hell. What happened?
Oh,
You got
oh,
laser
man.
surgery or something? Like, man, come on now, man.
Oh
Like,
man, the
nah,
feds
bro.
cloned him.
Ah,
Uh,
man, look, yeah, Vince cloned him right, yeah, right in Connecticut. That's where he cloned him. Cloned
I
them
can't
all.
deal with you and your shit, man. Hey, you are a
Uh,
bad influence.
hey, you started it. I'm just getting it in before we get out of here. Oh man. All
Oh
right, I'm glad
man,
the
well, no.
first hour. See, the first hour is over. Now you got Miz and Maurice kissing it, and Dominic doing Eddie Guerrero on the. Oh man. Hey, I'm about to stop
It's a
watching
lot.
this. It's a lot
It's a
going
lot
on.
going on.
Yeah, I'm about to stop
It's
watching
a
this.
lot going on. Um,
Yeah, I gotta turn this
it's
off.
funny because my camera. I mean, my TV slower than yours. So when you said it, I didn't see it just yet, and all I see is Miss Mary's kissing, and then you got Dom shimmy and shit. I'm like, why?
I'm like,
Why did they pan the camera like that?
because this the camera break, this the commercial break, man. So they had to milk it out until they get back in the ring. Now they back on. Now they back in the ring fighting.
Oh my god. All right. Well,
Yeah,
if
it is
Miz
what it is,
and
man.
Dominic Mysterio is a rivalry, they're gonna go with I successfully decline.
I mean, look, he's on the main roster. Look, if anybody needs to go to NXT, send Dom to NXT. But because he's Ray's son, he's on the main roster. And guys, see this is paying your dues. This right here is a prime example of paying your dues for a guy like the Miz to go through. And I know we were supposed to get out of here, man, but this kind of is it kind of brings up this point. Like for a guy
Yeah.
like the Miz to go through what he went through. Now,
Yeah.
mind you, the
Yeah.
Miz was an asshole. But
Yeah.
he went through some things and he had to pay dues. He had to pay his respects for dudes to respect him and wanna push him and be okay with losing to him and putting him over. And for a kid like Dom, it ain't just the fact that your dad is Rey Mysterio, but then again, it is for the fact your dad is Rey Mysterio. So you need to be humble to the people that you are going in this ring with, like a guy like the Miz, who has, and I quote, who has who is now as he say, a two-time Grand Slam winner. Like this
Which is,
dude
I think
has
he's the
won.
only one to ever do that.
He's won every iteration of the tag teams, regardless if it was one tag team for a show or both show, whatever. He's won
Yeah.
damn near every championship, every men's championship for the last 10, 15 years. Like he has that legitimacy, man. And now he's a two-time champion, even though you could say the second time was a little fall fierce, but yeah. And now for the Miz to take a pinfall, I know I'm a little ahead of you, but for Miz to take a pinfall to Dominic, like, dude, pay your respects. Now, if that wasn't Dominic's son, you better be paying your respects in the back.
Right.
Like
Right.
you better be, I ain't saying you got to kiss his ass, but yo, you got to get that veteran, that guy who's better than you, who's popular, who's over. You got to give him his due. Dominic has an edge because he's Ray's son, but I'm
Yeah.
sure Ray is telling him that, like, yeah, you
Oh
my
yeah.
son, but you got to pay
Yeah.
your respects, and that is
Yeah.
something that you carry over. That should never change. I don't care if you're millennial or whatever. That never
Mhm.
changes because you're gonna become that guy one day, and you're gonna want that respect,
I be
and then
like
you're gonna
Mr.
get a
Miz.
guy that don't want to give it to you, and then you gonna have, and you gonna get yours like you gave it. So it's best to give it the way you want to receive
I'm like Mr. Miz. How many M&Ms do you like, sir? How many bottles of water do you like, Mr. Miz? Please don't make me change in the hallway, Mr. Miz.
I mean, but for real, I think Miz is a
Yeah.
great example, man. Like
Yeah.
that
No,
dude went
true.
through hell. He went through
Yeah.
shit. Like dudes kicked him out. Like they nah, man, fuck you. Get the hell out of here, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You ain't worth. You ain't earning your keep.
And you want saying shit back to the Undertaker, he kick you out. What you gonna say?
Hey, I mean, but when you being an asshole and you thinking you the shit because
Yeah,
you were on a, he thought because he was on the real world. I'm this, I'm that, I'm this. Okay, you good, but
yeah,
you ain't good,
right,
and
right.
you need to be a little more humble, young man. Humble, young man, be humble.
Humble young man, be humble. Hey, like in the words of the great poet Kendrick Lamar, bitch, don't kill my vibe. And with that being said, ladies and
We
gentlemen,
are out of here.
we are out of
We
here.
are
We
out
are
of
out
here.
of here. We are out of here. Out of 28-year-old piece of gold. He's too cold. We got the EST at WWE out here doing that thing. So yeah, man. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah.
What's
We
tomorrow?
gotta do we gotta do a review of Raw.
Oh yeah, right, bro. I
Yeah,
forget
oh
we
yeah,
do it now.
yeah, right. We gotta do a review of the show. We've been sitting here kind of glancing at it a little bit. We're gonna talk about that. And then whatever happens, whatever comes out, and then we'll talk about that. And then yeah, man.
Bro, I swear
We
Raw is like that roach that you can't kill, man. It's like we keep saying we ain't gonna do it, and somehow, man. All right, fuck it, we'll
I
do a
know
highlight
we
show.
no, we said we weren't gonna do it right after the show goes off. We that was the kicker. We're not watching the whole 3 hours and then gonna do no, sir. We'll see
Uh,
y'all tomorrow. That's for sure.
we'll, hey, my boy said it, man. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.